Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the ninth part of What If Deku Was a Magical Girl Mascot, Quirk, Magical Girl Mascot. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 9, After the USJ. After the USJ news spread that most of the villains were caught. Only Shigaraki and Kurogiri got away. Even Nomu aka the monster was caught and was oddly docile. Afterwards it was interesting for Tsuyu. She knew she had to explain to her parents about the whole magical girl thing and the fact that she now sometimes mind-linked to Izuku. Thankfully both Izuku and Katsuki gave her their parents' phone numbers, telling her to only call Katsuki's parents if they didn't believe her. They decided not to call Inko due to the fact that she was bonded with her own son and she would be biased, so they called the Bakugos. And that conversation. Well, Katsuki took after her mother Mitsuki. I know it's fucking weird, but Izuku's a fucking cinnamon roll. He would rather die than harm your daughter and do weird things to her. Muttered Mitsuki. Are you sure? Asked Baru. I'm pretty fucking sure. Said Mitsuki. Oh, can you hold a second? Although she wasn't talking on the phone, Tsuyu was able to hear the phone conversation and both her and Baru were able to hear whatever Mitsuki telling the person on her end. What the fuck do you want, brat? They heard her yell. They didn't hear what the other person was saying. Look, I'm on the phone, your classmate's mom, she called without checking with Inko first. They heard Mitsuki yell. Both realized she was talking to Katsuki and they realized she said something else. Yeah, that is fucked up. They heard Mitsuki yell. Both Baru and Tsuyu had large sweat drops. That explains so much. Thought Tsuyu. Once the conversation between mother and daughter was done, Mitsuki once again started talking to Baru. Also, there's nothing we can do. Said Mitsuki. What do you mean? Asked Baru. All signs point to being unbreakable. Said Mitsuki. Are you sure? Said Baru. Considering I've been there since the beginning, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Said Mitsuki. Also, if he was a creeper he wouldn't want to use his quirk. What do you mean? Asked Baru. Look, just because they have a bond doesn't mean they can't hurt Izuku. Katsuki's got Izuku injured many times through the years, including when using her magical girl form. Explained Mitsuki. Really? Asked Baru. It's true. Said Mitsuki, and they've gotten into plenty of arguments. Just because they have a bond doesn't mean it's brainwashing. Baru didn't answer to this. This all fucking weird. Trust me. I know. Said Mitsuki, but if she wants to be a hero, that power-up will be great for her even if the costumes is extremely embarrassing. But what if? Said Baru. If Izuku ever tries anything, well, let's just say there is a line, and my daughter is the first in line. Said Mitsuki, though the first reaction will more than likely be trying to figure out why he's acting so weird, but other than that you can trust him, don't worry. Besides, if he was a perv, they wouldn't have let him in the school if his quirk involves having a telepathic bond with girls. Baru looked at her daughter. Look, like I keep saying, Izuku is a good kid, don't worry about it. Explained Mitsuki. Now if you excuse me, I have talked to something involving my daughter. Once Mitsuki hung up. Is this boy really a problem? Asked Baru. Not really. Said Tsuyu, he has self-confidence issues. Are you sure? Asked Baru. He was elected class representative and gave it up when someone proved to be a good leader, said Tsuyu. I really should have mentioned that from the beginning. You should have. Sighed Baru. Though the bright side, Tsuyu's little sister thought it was so awesome that her big sister was now a magical girl. The next day Tsuyu headed the Midoriya apartment. She was somewhat surprised to find that Katsuki opened the door. It's about time, frog face. Muttered Katsuki. Is Achiko here? Asked Tsuyu. She is, she lives in the neighborhood, so she was the first one here. Said Katsuki. She led Tsuyu into the living room where Izuku and Achiko were waiting for her. She also noticed that Izuku was in animal form, which surprised her. "I would have thought that you would be human," said Tsuyu. "About that," laughed Izuku, rubbing the back of his head. "He's not allowed to turn human until he goes back to school," said Inko from the kitchen as she making lunch. "That's your punishment for running into without thinking," said Tsuyu. "Yeah," sighed Izuku. Tsuyu sat down as Inko came into the living room. "So what do you want to hear first, because there's a shit ton we need to unpack about this," said Katsuki. "Maybe we should start with the set effect," said Ochako. "You mean what happens if you bond a boy?" said Tsuyu. Izuku nodded and explained it all, including how they knew about it. "So that's it," said Tsuyu. Katsuki was glaring at her. "We're stuck with you," muttered Katsuki. "No, it's fine, you have no control over what's your quirk," said Tsuyu. "Really?" asked Izuku, trying not to cry. Tsuyu nodded. "But you know," said Tsuyu. "I can't keep it a secret forever." Sighed Izuku. "I will have to tell everyone, but it's still the first week and well. We told Leg Day, but that's because of many reasons," said Katsuki. Tsuyu nodded. "There plenty of reasons for Ida to earn their trust to tell them that. So you two were bullied because of that," said Tsuyu. "Yeah," sighed Izuku. "I'm surprised that you took it," said Tsuyu. Katsuki snorted. "It was mostly girl tactics," said Katsuki. "The guys were terrified, but the girls, they would send me notes, fake love letters, and that sort of stuff." Izuku didn't want to bring up that many times they used a certain term, but realized Katsuki had to be the one to bring it up. "Maybe we should change the subject," said Izuku. Tsuyu nodded. "What about the emotions?" said Tsuyu. "Oh yeah, that," said Izuku. "If the telepathy is activated and one feels a really strong emotion, the rest of us feel it. But it rarely ever happens. I think it's because emotions were running high," said Katsuki. "I think in that sort of situation we can't keep it to ourselves." "It does make sense," said Inko. Tsuyu nodded. Then she remembered something. "So what happened with Bakugo's strongest attack?" said Tsuyu. Inko was giggling while Izuku and Katsuki looked embarrassed. "Please don't make us tell," said Izuku. "Oh come on," said Ochako, as it was clear she didn't know the story either. "They're going to find out one day," teased Inko. Izuku sighed while Katsuki just glared. "Is there anything else I need to know?" said Tsuyu. "Well, I'm sure you noticed I look young," said Inko. "I was waiting for a good time to say it," said Tsuyu. "Oh, okay," said Inko. "Anyways, there's another side effect to the quirk that might happen to you." They explained about the fact that her aging had stopped and it might happen to them, but they still weren't sure. "That's," said Tsuyu at a loss for words. "There's why I don't want to advertise it," said Izuku. "If it does affect you, then word might spread. I do want another partner, but not because they want intral youth." "That does make sense," said Tsuyu. "Plus we don't know if only affected mom or not," said Izuku. Anything else you need to know?" asked Katsuki. "I do like some part of the costume, but is possible to change it?" asked Tsuyu. "No," said Katsuki. Tsuyu was about to say something, but then realized that she probably tried to figure out every way to change the costume when it first happened. "I think there's everything covered, except for one thing," said Ochako. "What?" asked Tsuyu. "You have to see Deka's room," said Ochako. "What?" asked Tsuyu. "Please don't," said Izuku. "It's adorable," said Ochako. "It's part nerd room, part elf room," said Katsuki. What does that mean? Asked Tsuyu. Nothing, cried Izuku. She's going to see it, said Inko. Izuku sighed, and knowing that it was futile to try and stop her, they showed her Izuku's room. It's cute, said Tsuyu. Izuku sighed. After all, the combination of a nerd room and tiny furniture, there was no other word for it other than cute and adorable. They ate lunch, with Inko offering if Tsuyu ever wanted to come for a meal that she could. However, as ending, there was a call on the house phone. Inko went to pick it up. Hello? She asked. Hello, Mrs. Midoriya, said the voice on the other end, who she immediately recognized as Principal Nizu. Oh, Principal Nizu, is everything all right? Said Inko. The four looked at each other. Everything is fine, said Principal Nizu. However, there is something I wish to discuss with you, tomorrow afternoon. Really, what? Asked Inko. That's for tomorrow, said Principal Nizu. Oh, all right, said Inko. See you tomorrow then, said Principal Nizu. With the call over, Inko was a little confused. Is everything all right? Asked Izuku. It's fine, said Inko. He just wants to talk to me tomorrow about something. That's weird, said Izuku. Achiko. Katsuki, can one of you come over tomorrow and stay with Izuku? Said Inko. Mom! Cried Izuku. Sorry, but you're still grounded, said Inko, and I want someone to make sure that you don't break it. Izuku sighed when she said that. Tsuyu watched, amused by everything. Even if it was weird, it was already clear that it wasn't bad. The next day, Inko headed to the school and Aizawa waited for her outside the gates. Mrs. Midoriya? Asked Aizawa. Yes, she said. He gave her a visitor's badge. Please tell me you're handling your son after his recklessness, said Aizawa. Inko's sweat dropped. You're Mr. Aizawa, aren't you? Asked Inko. Aizawa nodded. She was led to Nizu's office. Hello, Mrs. Midoriya, it's nice to meet you in person, said Nizu. Nice to meet you, said Inko. Now you must wondering why I wanted to meet you, said Nizu. Of course, said Inko. You see, as the leader of this League of Villains got away, we're worried they might strike again, said Nizu. Inko paled when he said that. However, the other day you were invaluable to the rescue of the students. Had it not been for your bond with your son, we wouldn't have known about what's going on, and I fear that Eraserhead, 13 or any of the students could have gotten hurt or worse. Your husband's job provides a lot, doesn't it? Asked Nizu. Yes, he's in America right now, but he makes enough so I don't have to work, said Inko. But if you ever wanted to, would it be out of the question? Asked Nizu. What are you asking? Asked Inko. The creature of unknown species smiled. Sometime later, Inko came home. Both Izuku and Katsuki were watching a movie when she came in. What did he want to talk to you about? Asked Izuku. Well, I have a job now, said Inko, blushing. What, really? Asked Izuku. Inko nodded. He hired me as his personal assistant, said Inko. Wait, is it because you can act as a warning system if something happens to our class again? Said Katsuki. Yes, she admitted. So you're really going to working at the school? Said Izuku. You don't mind, do you? Asked Inko. No, it's just really surprising, said Izuku. That hand bastard got away, said Katsuki. They're still worried about him if they hired you. They are, said Inko. Izuku sighed. It's okay, besides, said Inko, you two always figured that when you form an agency that I'll have some sort of job there just in case. Izuku blushed. but that was just silly kid talk. He said. Come on Deku, we both knew she would take it seriously one day. Said Katsuki. Izuku counted to blush. It's okay. Said Inko, besides with everything it would probably help put my mind at ease getting to know your teachers. Izuku looked at his mother nodded. With that thing settled with Tsuyu and thing we're changing for Inko with her new job as Nizu's assistant. Though there would be a schedule change for Inko it would be fine, though she would have to figure out her new schedule with everything. But still, having extra money and helping Izuku's class was a very good idea, and it looked everything was going work out. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 10. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.